Hello and welcome everybody to another Sunday of the Petty Crew Radio Show. I am your boy Boss Hall, host of the Petty Crew Radio Show, aka Mr. Petty is what they call me. We have a great show lined up for you today. As usual, I have my partner in crime, all the way from San Antonio, Texas, Diamond. What's good, Diamond?
Hey, it's Diamond, and it is awesome to be in the house with you guys. I missed y'all last Sunday, but hey, I'm back in full effect, and I'm ready to have a good time. So let's go.
Already. I missed you last week. We had a great show with Bishop Anthony Jones Sr. and his wife, Christy Jones. We were talking about their book, Competing with the Man in Your Head. If you did not watch that show, you want to go to the Facebook page or YouTube or Twitter and watch that show, man. That was a great, powerful show last Sunday. But we're going to keep it moving. We have some stories that we want to address and talk about today. And so we're going to get right into them. And so for you guys that are just now tuning in, thank you everybody who are just now tuning in. If you're watching live on Facebook, if you're watching live on Twitter, definitely appreciate it. Please make sure you like and share today's show. So here are some of the stories that we're going to be talking about today. First of all, doctor calls COVID-19 vaccine an experiment. And what's so um, different about this story is that he's a black doctor. And so, again, doctor calls COVID-19 vaccine an experiment. For you guys that know we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Then we're going to talk about Coca-Cola asks its workers to be less white to fight racism. Over the past week, information leaked about a training in which Coca-Cola has, which is some form of diversity training. And some people are criticizing it because they believe that in their diversity training, they missed the mark on diversity. So we're going to jump into that. And then lastly, man, for you guys who don't know, like I didn't know, we're going to talk about Halle Berry response to fans who questioned her reported $16,000 monthly child support payment to ex. People are allowed to use children to be awarded money. I didn't even know Halle Berry did not have custody of her child. And on top of that, what we did know is that she's spending $16,000 a month on child support. That is unheard of. Hell, you got basketball players who are not even paying $16,000 a month in child support. So let's jump right into today's show. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. Please like and share today's show. And if you have anything you would like to add to the conversation, please make sure you drop your comments in the comment section. So we have in South Bend, Indiana, a Benton Harbor doctor is speaking out about his concerns with COVID-19 vaccine. He posted 2 videos on Facebook this past week sharing his thoughts. He goes on to say, you understand that you are volunteering to be a part of a great experiment with receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. John T. Tynes said. Dr. Tynes, who works at Ben Harbor Health Center, and according to our reporting partners at the Herald Pendulum, also served in the healthcare advisory role with the city. He has several warnings. And so I'm not going to go all into this article. We're just hitting different pieces of it. So basically, again, what's so unique about this doctor, because we do know that we do have skeptics with the vaccine, but he's a black doctor and he's warning his people and his patient that the vaccine is an experiment. Diamond, give me your thoughts about, the doctor and his warning.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say this. I appreciate the doctor speaking out and giving his warning and his point of view. But as we talk about this vaccination that we talked about for a great while, I also feel that, all vaccines, to be honest with you, are an experiment. Some, a lot of us African Americans, we're really still distressed behind the Tuskegee Airmen I'm sorry, not Tuskegee Airmen, but the Tuskegee vaccination scare that they gave them the syphilis and all of that stuff. So a lot of us still have a lot of issues with that. And moving forward, we still feel like, especially with the COVID-19, that scenario has definitely came back and been a part of a lot of conversations. But we also have to realize that we have no cure for anything. I had a conversation with my cousins about this, and all medicine is there to help you cope with the situation, just like these vaccinations. At the end of the day, it's going to help some people. Some people it's not going to help. And honestly, we don't know until we actually try it. So, granted, this particular vaccination, because it's new, it does not have a long history. But as y'all know, Diamond has openly said on past shows that she does not plan on getting the vaccination. But again, until you do research and stuff starts hitting closer to home, your minds, your viewpoints change as we mature in life, because every day is a day of maturity and a day of elevation. We tend to change our minds. And with that being said, the one thing I noticed that he said is the same thing that I've heard over and over again, and that is it is not a cure, but it's to help you cope with the symptoms in case you get it. Maybe to make the load we not to weaken the load on you, so maybe you don't have as many effects as you would normally have if you don't get the vaccination. But at the end of the day, as a people, we do not know what's going to happen. I agree, it is an experiment, but honestly, right about now, where we are in America, what is not an experiment? Our technology is an experiment. If y'all notice, you're looking up something one day, then the next thing you know, you see that same thing from 50 more different people that sell it because you're being watched. So I think we have to take all of that into consideration. I think as people, we definitely need to do our own research. Stop listening to what Tom, Dick, and Harry say and get out there, take what they say, go find you some resources, do checkups, and then form an educated opinion or an educated conclusion that is going to work best for you. Figure out where do you lie in this situation. I've had several family members with the COVID-19. I've lost friends due to COVID-19. I've lost family members due to COVID-19. I know several people that didn't have hardly any symptoms that were asymptomatic, and I know people that were all the way on ventilators and everything else. So I've seen the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the same thing with the vaccination. I've been watching people that I know did it take the vaccination. I've seen shot, when they get the first shot, when they get the second one. I have people that didn't have any issues with the second shot. And then I have people that were down from anywhere from 24 to 72 hours with what they call flu-like symptoms. But even those people have stated over and over again, I would still do it all over again in the hopes of getting back to some type of normalcy. I do like the fact that he reiterated, and I think that's something that we all need to remember. Even if you choose to get the vaccination, it does not mean you can take off your mask. It does not mean stop social distancing. It means this is one more measure to help us be safer, but you still must continue to social distance. You still must continue to wear your mask. And I think as a whole, that's the problem society is having. We are not doing the small things because we're too worried about who is controlling us. But are you controlling yourself by being safe? It's not about that. I think the vaccination is about not only caring about yourself, but caring about your community. If you are living in a house with someone that is in high risk, guess what? You want to make sure that you protect them as well as yourself. Myself, I'm an educator. I'm exposed every single day. I've had to have times where I had to stop class because I had a student that was in my class that has COVID-19 and their parents sent them to school anyway. And then we find out. And guess what? All my kids now have to get out of my room. Custodians have to come in, sanitize my room, and those kids are one by one put in isolation for their parents to be called for them to be picked up. So I've had all of this stuff going on this year with this pandemic. And that's something that makes me even more like, hey, you know what? I have to reconsider my stance on this system as well. I too have always believed it's an experiment. I'm going to continue to believe that. But at this time, I have to evaluate, where am I? Where do I fall into this statistics? Because guess what? When the chicken pox first came out and they got a vaccination, that was an experiment. Same thing with the measles. So everything is just, where are you right now in life? Where are you right now? And what type of education are you doing? Don't just go on, oh, this happened. What is your documentation? As I like to say, because I'm an English teacher, what are your context clues? That's the question I ask
Mm-hmm.
my students. So that's the thing I'm going to ask the adult. What are your contact clues? Meaning, where's your research? Where's your textual evidence? Prove this. We know it is an experiment. It has to be. It's new. How is it not going to be an experiment? But what we have to do is take the information we're given and make an informed decision that's going to benefit everyone and not just ourselves. So I love the fact that he came forward and gave that information. The one thing I like that he did versus what we're seeing with all the other doctors is that he said, hey, this is an experiment. This is what's going on. Just know that you're taking part in a real life experiment if you decide to do this vaccination. Also, if you do it, it is not a curse. You still have to do those things. So the fact that he gave, because you got some people that are doctors and in a position to know, but they're not giving informed decision. They're just like, oh yeah, go take the vaccination. He didn't tell you not to take it. He didn't tell you to take it. He gave you additional facts and information to be able to use to come up with your own decision on what are you going to do right now in life. And I applaud him for that, because guess what? He had to come out of his platform, because not only is he a doctor, but he also sits on several boards that might look at him differently because he did share this information, and they're so busy saying, oh no, we need everybody to take it. And he was like, hey, you do just know this is what you're getting into. So I applaud him for doing that. There was a little bit more information for me to add to my bucket of tools. So I thank him for doing that.
Okay. And so again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about the doctor out of South Bend. He goes by the name of Dr. Dunn J. Tynes, who and this article was back in January the 29th, but we wanted to talk about it. Doctor calls COVID-19 vaccine an experiment. Now, I'm one of those people, who was taught to pay attention to words. And I think I have a personal problem with him using the word experiment. Um, and here's why. Because, see, I keep a dictionary in my cell phone because I want to put, when people use words, and what happened is when people don't know and people try to sound good, they get to using words and what might sound good to somebody because they don't understand words and what they mean. They will go along with whatever. And so, just for clarification, let's get to the bottom of what the word experiment means. Experiment, a test, a trial, or tentative procedure, an act or operation for the purpose of discovering something unknown or testing a principle. Uh, testing a principle. And so when I look up that word, I think what he's saying is deceptive. Me and the host of Keto 911, we did a show on a Wednesday, I think 2 Wednesdays ago, dispelling the myths of the COVID vaccine. And so anybody can go to John Hopkins. They have a great list of answers to dispel the myth for men and women, especially people of color who want to get to the bottom of the vaccine. It answers all those questions that you've heard out there. And so where I do respect him for being vocal in making people aware of the vaccine, especially as a man of color, I think he's just perpetuating what we shouldn't be doing right now. Now he doesn't say don't take it. He doesn't say that is going to be a danger to you. He doesn't do that. However, when you label this vaccine an experiment, well, the truth is, and again, we've had this discussion when we literally just talked about dispelling the myths of the vaccine. It's already been tried on thousands of folks. Um, the testing part, the experimental part, has already been taken care of. And so for me, I just believe this is not the time to perpetuate what most people already think. If you're going to be a doctor and educate on the facts that you have gotten from your peers, from the other doctors, from John Hopkins, because he's in the medical field. It's not as if he can't go and get that information himself. So on one hand, where I understand where he talks about, the history of black people and the medical and how we've been treated when it comes, we get that. We know that. We continue to hear that over and over. Tell us something new. Tell us, the community want to know, is it safe? That's where you give the information and the scientific information that's already backs up the vaccine. You follow what I'm saying, Diamond? If everybody's waiting, oh, it's an experiment. Oh, it's not going to do that. Well, if you go to John Hopkins, it tells you that, that the vaccine is 95% effective. You're going to have to take 2 doses. It gives you all the information necessary. And again, like I said, if you go back to the pedigree show, you will see that me and a gentleman by the name of Daniel Sales III, we literally take out an hour to 2 hours dispelling the myths behind the vaccine. And so anybody can go and look that up. Where I commend him because, again, he's an African American doctor making his community aware. I just think we need more doctors to not just say, oh, it's an experiment. Well, patients kind of trust their doctors, especially when they're dealing with a doctor of their color. Well, we already know that. Okay, tell me what you know so far about the vaccine. You follow what I'm saying, Diamond? Let me know from the information so I can be better informed. I'm tired of hearing, well, it's an experiment. No, it's not an experiment. Again, the definition of what it is, it doesn't apply. We've already been through the experimental phase of the vaccine. And so the call an experiment is what you're initially saying in your article. However, you're trying to educate. What you're saying is listen, this is a live vaccine that you are now the test subjects of. And so when we're giving this to you, we really don't know how it's going to react to you. We really don't know what the side effects is going to be, but we're just trying to give it to you, and we're just shooting in the wind, hoping that we make some type of progression, and that's just not the case. And so where I commend him again for his wanting to make the community aware, I just have a problem with how he labeling the vaccine. Is not an experiment. As you just said, Diamond, anything that, the AIDS or the HIV vaccine, then we're going to call that an experiment if we're going to label it like that, because to this day, it ain't no cure for AIDS. We can keep it in submission if you got HIV. A prime example is Magic Johnson. Clearly, he's taking something that's working. I don't care how many pills he's taking something that's working. And so, we have to look at it in that light. And again, we're going to continue to hold this conversation because, as you know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. I personally don't want you to let up. Me and one of my closest friends I grew up with, matter of fact, her niece is my god sister, and we celebrated this past weekend her daughter's first birthday. And she too was a young lady who caught COVID. She's in the entertainment business, and of course, and she's a singer. And so she's singing and everything, and she was quick about it. She just knew something was off. Come to find out she had COVID vaccine. And so we're having this conversation in my parents' garage. And I asked her, well, are you going to take the vaccine? She goes on to say, well, No. And I looked at her like, what in the hell are you talking about? You're not going to take the vaccine. You just had COVID, you know. And even then, I had to let her know, like, hey, listen, you have a whole granddaughter, you have a whole children to look forward to, you have a future. And so you came out of this on the nice side of the COVID recovery. In other words, you still have your life, because we know as of right now, for you guys that don't know, we've reached the halfway of 1,500,000 people so far in the United States have died from the COVID-19. And so count yourself blessed that you wasn't on a ventilator, that you wasn't super ill. And so I'm like, no, you need to take the vaccine to prevent yourself from catching it again, you know. And eventually, after we had that talk, you know, she was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Because we take life for granted. Like I keep telling people before we move on, we only get one life. And so if I turn around, I died, you're not going to see or hear from me again. It's not a second opportunity again to come back and do it again. And so what I would say to you guys who are watching is to, again, get the information, make a well-informed decision. I personally would encourage you guys to take the vaccine. I know many people who have taken the vaccine. Nobody has lost their life to the vaccine. And so everybody side effects will be different. Some people never had none. But again, let's not get hung up on how they used to treat us, because this is not a us vaccine. This is not a vaccine strictly for people of color. People across the world are taking this vaccine. With that being said, man, we're going to keep it moving. Let's jump into Coca-Cola. Oh, Coca-Cola. Everybody know that red and white classic cup or that can. You go to the grocery store. They are very iconic. You typically do not hear any racial issues with them. I'm not sure. I haven't Googled it. But they're really never kind of in the news for discrimination that I know of. I don't know everything, but I just don't see it. However, they did make the news over their so-called diversity training. And this is from the Entrepreneur. It says Coca-Cola asked its workers to be less white to fight racism. Employees participated in the controversial anti-racism course, but the result was far from what they expected. And I can tell you ahead of time, whenever you kind of run into these issues, you already know that this training was not conducted by a person of color. Because a person of color would not make these blunders. And so let's get to the meat of what happened with Coca-Cola. It says one of the great challenges that brands face today is implement inclusion policies and eradicate sexist, elitist, and racist practices both in their internal operations and in their image they project. For this reason, Coca-Cola believed it was convenient for its workers to participate in an anti-racism course to learn to be less white. That lets you know right there that a person of color couldn't have put this training together. It goes on to say that the seminar entitled Facing Racism, given by Robin DiAngelo, was presented through LinkedIn Education publicly. Although not free of charge, the company admitted that the effect it invited its workers to take the course, but they clarified that it was not mandatory. The article goes on to say that the course description made it clear that its goal was to guide people to be less white, help them understand what it means to be white, and challenge what it means to be racist. However, on social media networks, they released some of the slides used in the seminar, and the concept presented left many speechless. In one of the images, You can read to be less white is to be less oppressive, to be less arrogant, to be less trusting, to be less defensive, to be less ignorant, to be more humble, to listen, to believe, break with empathy, and break with white solidarity. Another says that in the United States, other Western nations, whites are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white. And they finish with an invitation, try to be less white. I'm going to stop right there because, again, the article hits on different points. Diamond, before I say my little old piece, come on, man, talk to me.
Man, let me tell you. So I totally laughed at this whole article. Okay, so here's my tip on it. Coca-Cola, the idea of what you were trying to do was good, but you totally failed. Point blank and simple. There was nothing about this that includes diversity. It doesn't help with the racial tension we have going on in America. In fact, it fuels it even more. With that being said, what a lot of corporations and people that want to know how do we address this issue, you cannot beat down one race to bring up another race and vice versa. That's been the problem. You beat up the African American race to make the white race superior, better, whether you call them white, Caucasian, whatever name you want to use, whether you say black, African American, hey, that's your privilege. We all still talking about the same thing. You cannot do that. We have to learn to get with the character, get with that person. Stop looking at color. You know, I often catch myself because I use color a lot, but I use it more in a description. I use, when I say white, it's more because I'm describing something. It is an adjective because I want you to know who I'm talking to or where I'm trying to get you to, not in reference to, oh, that's a white person, oh, that's a black person. And what we have to realize is the first thing is it is not about saying white people have to think less white. I'm sorry, that's not it. It's about being sensitive to understanding that this particular color of people have been beat up, criticized time and time again because the color of their skin. So you don't say white people be less white. What you do say is white people, let's be aware. Let's make sure we're making a conscious effort not to judge people, as our famous Martin Luther King says, not by the color of my skin, but the content in the character of me as a person. So the way they did it was a total failure. Like you said, you can obviously tell it wasn't a person of color. What I would challenge Coca-Cola and anybody that's out there listening that works for Coca-Cola, you know, some people or whatever, go back to the drawing board and how about you do it right? How about we all come together with a board of all diverse cultures and come up with something to help everybody? Because yes, I am an African American female. Yes, I have been discriminated against since the time I hit this earth. I have even more discriminations. Why? Because not only am I a woman of color, but I am a light-skinned woman of color. So not only do I deal with being an African American as a black woman in America, but I deal with being a light skinned one because I have white people that say different things because I'm light skinned. I have black people that say different things to me because I am light skinned and because I have a fair complexion. So they tend to think, oh, you're okay. No, I'm still discriminated against. Not only am I discriminated against by white America, but I'm discriminated against by black America because the color of my skin. So as a whole, we have to get together, not just white people, not just black people, not just Hispanic people, Asian people. At some point, we all need to be on at this table. We all need a seat at the table. We all need to come together with a curriculum to educate the next generations on how do we get past this issue of color. No, it's not going to happen overnight. This issue of color was going on before I was ever even thought about being born. Not just born, but thought about being born. But the one thing that remains true, we have to be sensitive to that. We have to look past it. You need to look at the person. You need to look at their character because let's be real. There's good and bad in everything. There's good and bad in every race. Yes, we know for a fact that the bad people in this race are still treated better because they are a certain color versus the bad people in this race because of their color. And that's the issue at hand. The issue at hand is equality. Sorry. The issue at hand is equality for all people.
Gotcha.
Coca-Cola totally fell with this. I even saw the song when old boy wrote the song about making a joke about the Coca-Cola and then saying now I'm gonna drink Pepsi because it's like saying that Coca-Cola is saying think less white, let's get rid of the white. So their message was wrong. The concept behind what they thought they were trying to do was kind of good, but at this point, Coca-Cola definitely has to go because now not only do you have to fix what you were trying to fix, now you got to fix this mess. So right now you're dealing with two problems because
Mm.
now you've eliminated this side and then you got this side that was never fixed. So now they have two problems to fix. I want to challenge everyone, not just Coca-Cola, because this is going on in all corporations. This is going on in everyday life. At the end of the day, we are who we are. We are going to be proud of our culture. I love my culture. I love my roots. But at the end of the day, we have to come together as a people and stop judging people by the color of their skin. We do. It's not just them against us. It's all of us need to do this. Now, when are we going to stop and actually do it? I can't say because this isn't a problem that just popped up in the 2000s. This is a problem that has been going on for centuries, and each time we think it's getting better, it like settles down for a second and then it pops back up. But what we have to do is continue to keep pressing on, continue to educate the generations behind us. But the way Coca-Cola did it is definitely not the answer. One thing that I tend to do in my classroom as a teacher is when I do have a very diverse group of students, we talk about different culture things. Sometimes it's just about bringing knowledge and understanding. I remember in college, one of my classes was about cultural awareness because it was teaching you if you go to China, how do you do business? What are signs of disrespect? What does this mean to this culture versus what this means? So that you're what? You are being knowledgeable of and you don't do things that you think just is okay. Which is a lot of times, some people honestly don't know when they say stupid black white jokes. They just oblivious to the fact. Then some people know when they just say the stuff. But as a people, we have to be more conscious of what we're saying. How does that person feel? And as people that are offended, we have to continue to stick out because how do you know you offended me if I never told you that you offended me? So we got to continue to be those voices. Hey, calling me a light skinned chick is not cool because I'm more than a light skin. I'm more than a fair skinned African American. That is my ethnicity. That is not who I am as a person. So we have to continue to be involved in the conversation. We have to continue to be involved in the movement. And we have to continue to speak out so people can learn. I hate to say it, but some people, as my mom and I often talk about, some people just don't know. And as if you want to get spiritual on it, we heard my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So yes, people perish for not knowing. People have bad credit for not knowing. So we that do know have to educate these people that don't know. Hey, this is not how you talk to me. Hey, this is not how you treat me. Hey, what you said was very offensive. Now the problem comes in after I tell you it was offensive and you keep doing it. That's when the problem comes in. That's when you know that person's heart is yes, they're racist and that's what they're trying to do. So I think with this particular situation, Coca-Cola, that was a total failure. First of all, why did you have a non-colored person trying to bring in the diversity? It should have been a team effort, because whatever y'all released, that should have been viewed. You should have taken that through a small group to even look over. And then second of all, I don't even know if you pay. I read the article, and then they don't you know they charge those people? It
Well,
was not mandatory, but they actually charged them to sign up for it for the courses through LinkedIn. Like it's like okay, first you saying you trying to do some diversity stuff. You it wasn't even free. You charged us to look at this crazy stuff, and then you didn't do your homework in making sure that it was even going to be effective. I mean, it wasn't mandatory, but the fact that this is what you're trying to do and you charging for it, like you shouldn't be charging for diversity training in the first place.
well, so I just got a couple of things on it, and then because we're gonna go into some other things, like I said, that was a part of the article that we haven't jumped into yet. That I do agree with. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Uh, in a nutshell, if it was pulled off right, Coca-Cola can say they tried. This was a half-ass effort by Coca-Cola to say, well, at least we did something. You know, we tried. Secondly, right, who reviewed it? Apparently, whoever is a part of this diversity training uh, group, there can't be a person of color in the group who's creating diversity courses. It can't be because I guarantee you a black woman would have already rang the alarm before anybody else would have even said anything about it after reading it. So you can tell that this was created by white people. And I guarantee you that that white person would be what we call kind of down. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
They're looked at as the cool white guy who we feel can bring a diversity training to our must be predominantly white business. Because again, you essentially directed this diversity training to white people. I mean, because you can't be doing it to all people. This training couldn't have been for African Americans too, Native Americans as well, Asian Americans. It couldn't have been because they would have just paid to go through some courses that are specifically speaking to, as the article was saying, to a particular group of people. And so it was on LinkedIn. How many people call on LinkedIn? I know people call on LinkedIn. I'm one of them. However, that was geared toward white America, the white men and women that is a part of their corporation. Again, there was no diversity in the training, like you stated. Being diverse is not saying change who you are, it's being accepting to the other people who are not like you, the other men and women of color who are not like you. That's diversity. Not pinpointing the fact that, well, to be less white is again to be less arrogant. Well, you can be black and learn how to be less arrogant. You can be an Hispanic person that you can tell, hey, you need to be more humble. And so those characteristics are found in anybody across the globe. And so again, where you might have had a good idea about being diverse, but as we looked at it, as we seen what was going on with what was released, you missed the mark by a long shot. And let's keep going on because I want to touch on something that was also a part of the article. It says, based on the slides, internet users interpreted that the course teaches that being white is synonymous with being oppressive, arrogant, confident, defensive, ignorant, arrogant, apathetic, and closed-minded. Even a Twitter user highlighted that the content they substituted racist for white, attributing negative characteristics based on skin color. Well, let me say something to that person. Guess what, Twitter user? Guess how African Americans feel? Because we have been brought in condition that black is wrong, that black is bad. That is the basis of one of the main reasons why we have men and women of color who are killed by the police on a regular basis. We
Right.
can go into business. We can go into being promoted in different fields of professions. Black is considered less than. And so, again, welcome to our world because what we've been taught subconsciously is that white is right. White is superior. We see it amongst each other as people of color. You'll think because you bought something from Gucci, it's actually a better quality than a luxury brand that was created by an African American because that is part of the whole conditioning that white is better. And so again, guess what? Welcome to our world as people of color. Yes, that's I would say that is the one thing that that slide got right. If you took that from that slide, you're absolutely right. Because 9 times out of 10, when you look at it, and again, arrogance is in everybody. But when you go into politics, you will see it in the politics amongst people of color. We just watched it happen with Donald Trump. We watched it happen with his followers who believe so much into this man that nobody never questioned an election up until him because white is right. And because he's white, even though he was running against somebody else's white, well, he's that white guy that support black people and people of color, Native Americans. So he's not with us. So we're going to go with that whiteness and we're going to go with that racist. So again, Coca-Cola got it right in the sense that if a white person got that from that slide, I'm glad you got that from that slide because that's kind of really how it works for us. We don't never have a diversity training for white people where because they already understand and have been conditioned that black has to be wrong. That's why we're stereotyped. Welcome to the party. It just happened in reverse. We've always been stereotyped to believe that we were less than, that we are animals, that we don't have intelligence. That's connected to our blackness. And so again, if you got that from that slide, I would say to that user, I'm glad you got that from that slide. It is what it is. At the end of the day, did Coca-Cola miss the mark? Yes. You need to go back to the drawing board, get some people of color in there, people who do this stuff for a living.
Right.
You showed your racism if you went outside of Coca-Cola and you decided to get another white person to bring in diversity training to another group of white people. That's racist within itself. Did you really want diversity? Did you really want your employees to understand that people of color are different? Understanding how your mentality affect people of color? Again, what were you really trying to accomplish in this diversity training? Only thing that I see right now is the fact that you guys wanted to say, well, at least we created a diversity training. And that's about it. I'm sure the white people that paid for this diversity training walked away feeling some type of way. They didn't feel educated. Because if I was white, I wouldn't feel educated just reading the slides. Again, it goes back to like Diamond said, a lot could have been done in the realm of real diversity training. How about educating you on the fact that everybody doesn't think the same? And just because that person is a person of color, they are less than. I mean, again, there's 50 million ways that the training could have been addressed to meet the mark. And sadly, Coca-Cola did not do that. So again, we hope that Coca-Cola go back to the drawing board, figure this out, bring some people from the outside of people of color who by profession teach diversity training. With that being said, man, listen, we're on the road. Uh, we don't have a lot for you guys. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to all of you guys who are watching live right now on Facebook as well as Twitter. Thank you so much. The show will air live later on tonight on YouTube as well. So if you're watching again, please share, like our Facebook page. Let me also have you guys to go to the Petty Crew page. Go like us on Facebook, the Petty Crew, Instagram, the Petty Crew, Twitter at the Petty Crew One. Uh, and with that being said, man, we finna in this thing talking about child support and Halle Berry. Halle Berry made some noise on Instagram because she's very active on Instagram, and Diamond is going to bring that to everybody.
So we're gonna talk about Halle Berry, how she responded to a fan that questioned her reportedly $16,000 monthly child support payments to her ex. And basically she was paying child support, and so she made a couple of comments on Instagram. And one of her comments that she made was, people are allowed to use children to be awarded money. She also made this post, which is kind of what stemmed the conversation. And it says, women don't owe you shit. So, of course, some people started coming back and making comments trying to figure out, is she talking about her ex? What is she talking about? She did respond on February the 6th, actually, is when she responded, and she started discussing in her comments about the identity in the individual and who she was talking to, and about her comments. She had fans that came to her rescue, was saying, hey, if this is who she's talking about, he even called her the N word and going so forth and back and forth. So one of the issues is just addressing the fact of, that's a lot of money. So I can see where she got her deal of talking about that, you're allowed to use children as to be awarded money. So basically her comment about that was getting down to the rub that it doesn't take that much money a month to take care of a child. So basically what she's saying is, you're using children to make a person have to pay more money. Of course, the conversation started about, would you feel that way if it was a man paying that amount of money in child support? And I like her comment because her answer basically was, it's not about whether it's a man or a woman. It's about the fact that people are allowed to use children to be awarded money. Like, it does not take that amount of money in a month to take care of a child. And of course, it's going off of she's the Oscar Award winner and her income and all of that. And basically what she was saying is, all of that doesn't have to play. She's not saying you shouldn't take care of your child. She just doesn't like the way the law handles it and how the system is ran when you're actually talking about child support. She did say it goes either way. And honestly, I can, when you get into it and you're talking about your opinion and your belief and what you feel, and that's true. Either way it go, whether it's a man or a woman, it's about the fact that people are allowed to use children men paying child support versus women paying child support, because I've seen both sides of it. I've had a lot of good friends who are actually, their children live with them and they're raising their child and they take care of their child. The odd thing I have seen with that is majority of the men that I know that are taking care of their children do not necessarily get child support from the mother. However, the women that I know that are taking care of their children, they do get child support from the father. My personal opinion on this is, wherever the child is, the other parent should be paying some type of support. I've even seen cases when the child bounces back and forth, shared visitation with both parents. And again, the dad doesn't get support, but the mom does get support. And the mom is still, in some cases, she's still getting support while the child is actually with the dad. And a lot of dads, because of the court system, they kind of just tend to deal with it. They don't, like going back and forth to the court. And as we all know, with all stereotypes, whether we're dealing with color or not, when it comes to child support, there is another issue that the courts usually, except for in extreme situations and circumstances, courts usually rule in favor of the mother. And that has to do with a lot of the issues that does deal with the child support and going back and forth. And so The question come up. People were telling Holly, well, you can't keep a man and you can't do this and that, and that's why you're paying this much in child support. But at the end of the day, the conversation is basically her opinion is, you know, it doesn't take six. I shouldn't pay $16,000 in child support because it doesn't take that much for a child to live comfortably. When you're talking about $16,000, come on, let's be real. That money is not just taking care of that child. They're taking care of that me. Does he even at that point? That's when you start wondering, is he even worth? Yes, you should take care of your child. Yes, you're obligated to take care of your child, whether you're the man or the woman, regardless of who the child stays with. If the mother has custody, you should pay child support. If the dad has custody, you should pay child support. I think what I find sad about the whole situation sometimes is, why do you even have to take it to court? Why, as an adult that has parents and brought a child into this world, why are you not stepping up to the plate and taking care of your responsibility, whether you are a man or a woman? Why do the courts even have to get involved to tell you the amount? You say why? Because some women are vindictive, just as men. We have this whole, oh, she petty, oh, he petty. But when it gets to these situations, the sad part about it is usually one of the parents are being petty, which brings on more tension and more problems in the whole relationship. So, as like Halle Berry was stating, and I do agree with her on this fact, is that her whole point was people are allowed to use children to be awarded money.
Well,
I agree with
so
her. People are allowed to use children to be awarded money. People do use children to get to the other parent. Where you can't see your child if you don't do this. It's sad, but in reality, it happens and it is very true. So as a whole, that's something society has to come and play with and start working on. And when you think about it, every show that we have, I'm just gonna say this is it brings me more to awareness and more about, as a society, America, we're pretty messed up because we have so many stereotypes, so many double standards for one side of the road that's not on the other side of the road. America, we really need to wake up as a country, as a people, as individuals. We need to wake up and be real adults about different situations and make sure that we're taking care of the whole, not just being so selfish and so about self. And because I'm mad at you, I'm gonna put child support on you. It's not about I'm mad at you. It's about this child, this human being that we brought into this world that we're both responsible for, and we both need to do what's best for this child. So I'm gonna go ahead. I know you have a lot to say about this, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you have your moment, and let's see what you
listen,
got to say.
I don't have a moment, man. For you guys that don't know, I am a father who have custody of my middle children, and I'm also a father who pays child support. So I am on both sides of it. And if you're on Instagram, and especially if you're following Halle Berry, she is very active. Hell, like I said, I done shot her a message. I'm shooting. I shoot for stars. So, um, you know, when she posted, and anybody can see this on Instagram, she like Dama was saying, she started out pointing out women don't owe you shit, and of course you got Instagram who they're gonna speculate as they do. What is she talking about? And eventually, and it was over a course of time where she really got into how she felt. And I want to read some of these. I want to read what she had to say so we can put this in context because she does pay $16,000 in child support. And so this is an article from Atlanta Black Star, and I had posted it up earlier so everybody can view. However, the conversation got into it like this. Basically, what Halle Berry said, a user had asked her, "Do you believe that men paying alimony and child support is wrong? And is it extortion?" It goes on to say that Berry wrote a lengthy message in which she spoke about the laws concerning child support and how parents are forced to pay amounts that are more than what the child needs to live comfortable. Let me say that again. Berry wrote a lengthy message in which she spoke about the laws concerning child support and how parents are forced to pay amounts that are more than what the child needs to live comfortable. She said that while she believed parents have an obligation to financially care for their children, she thought the way the laws are currently handled is wrong. And I sent a message to Halle Berry. I said, I thank you and I appreciate you for understanding what men go through on a regular basis, because what people don't know, and some people know, depending on what state you are, first and foremost here in Texas, when I pay child support, that's reported to the credit bureaus. Now, I can't question where my money is actually going. I can't get a receipt to show me, the person that's paying money for my child. I can't verify what you're really doing with my money, but what you are going to do is you're going to report if I'm paying it on time or not. As a man, I don't agree with that. Why my child support, if I'm paying it or not, have to affect my way of living? Because if you know anything about credit scores, if you want to get a home, well, guess what? They gonna run when they run your credit and what they're gonna see. You see what I'm saying? So I understand what Halle Berry is talking about, because I can find many flaws in the AG. If my kid's mother refused to let me see my child, I can't go back to the Attorney General and say, hey, my kid's mother's not letting me see my child. What the Attorney General go do is now tell me to go pay for a personal attorney to handle this issue. But you're going to be in my business if I do not pay child support on time. Is that not strange? Let me say that again. I can't get you to go back to court to take my kid's mother to court on the behalf of the court, because this mother is violating the court order. They're going to tell me you need to come out at a minimum of probably about $5,000 to go pay for a personal attorney to take your kid's mother to court. However, you will take me back to court if I'm behind on child support. That's a flaw in the system. Y'all would gladly spend money, because you work for the state of Texas, to take me back to court to collect money. There's a flaw in the system there. If you can take me back to court if I'm not paying child support, and a woman has two options, the same way I'm a man who received child support. I can use you guys to take her to court, or I can come out of pocket to take my kid's mother to court to do that. I don't have that option under visitation. That affects a man. For a man that is not making too much money, he has $5,000 retainer. You see what I'm saying? To take his kid's mother to court, holding her from. That's a financial strain, and that's still on top of you still better pay that child support. And so when Halle Berry talk about laws currently being handled wrong, I'm just pointing out a few of them. Hell, depending on what state you in, if your child support is not current, you can't renew your driver's license. So let me get this straight. So I can't renew my driver's license, but again, I can't hold my kid's mother accountable for where she's spending that money. There's a flaw in the system. So Halle Berry goes on to say that I'm not going to speak on alimony, as I have never asked for it, nor have I ever paid it. Berry said, however, as for child support, I feel I can speak on it, as I've been paying it for a decade now. I feel as if a woman or man is having to pay child support, that is way more than reasonable needs to support the child. I think that is wrong. I agree with that. She goes on to say, I understand some parents, man or woman, may need help, but I also feel that in these modern times, both men and women have the responsibility to financially take care of their children. Work hard and make every effort to do it. She goes on to say some other stuff, but I want to stop there. Diamond hit on it earlier. You have vindictive people here in the state of Texas. If you have children, especially if you're married, you have children with your significant other, you're gonna be put on child support if she says no or not, unless y'all handle it without attorneys. You're gonna automatically do it. How do I know? Again, I have custody of my middle two children. I don't mind letting it be known. Hell, my kid's mother paid minimum, very minimum in child support. And when it was in the reverse before I got my children, I paid way more than what the fuck she never paid. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Courts are changing. As a man, I can say courts are changing. Courts are not really playing with women. Those tides are turning now, especially when you're going before women judges. How do I know? Because again, I've lived it. I'm experiencing it. A lot of these women white, because I've gone before white judges, women, white women judges. You can't go in there, black woman, child, and act like a damsel in distress. That victim shit is really not working anymore. That ideal that just because I'm a woman, I'm going to automatically win doesn't work like that really anymore. We don't know why Halle Berry doesn't have custody. I don't follow it like that. I just thought this was interesting because I already follow her on Instagram, so I seen when she posted it initially. Now, of course, I don't go in and read comments of stars and get in all that because that could be lengthy in who she is. And so when the story came out, I was like, oh wow, I seen when she posted this. And initially she didn't address what she was talking about until she got into it. And so again, I say the women who pay child support, because I know several women. I had a co-host on my show who was paying child support. I know women who paid it, completed it. I know women like my kid's mother who wasn't paying it initially, and she's doing an effort. But hell, I wish I was paying what she was paying in child support. I really do. I wish. And so again, I'm on both sides of it, so I understand it. I do feel like men are treated different, when it comes to it. I don't rely on my kids' mother child support because hell, it ain't gonna really do nothing. And honestly, when you pay me, I've already put money into my children. There's nothing more than a payback. Whatever's given to me is nothing more what I've already put into my children, whether it be clothes. Hell, I just bought my son 5 pair of pants and I think 4 shirts. If you know anything about shopping for children, that's expensive right there. So guess where that money went? That's gone. You see what I'm saying? That little bread has already been alleviated. So again, I understand where Halle Berry from. I do believe that in some cases when people are awarded money, and we're talking about on the Halle Berry level, she's a superstar. Right. She's a, people on that level who, for instance, might do a movie in which they go probably get $60,000. Hell, some folks got to work a whole year to see $60,000. She do one movie and she go collect 60. So just think about it. If she do 3 goddamn movies, you see what I'm saying? In a year or 2, hell, she damn near at $250,000 for a year. She'd have made a easy $250,000 off the rip. However, that would still be like contract money. That's not guaranteed money. If I was her, I really would go back to the courts to get that $16,000 revised. I question: do she have money? Because if she paying $16,000,
she has money.
No, that don't mean she got money. I'm gonna be honest with you. Listen, so Boss Hogg finna talk his shit right now. She goes on in the article say that it's a struggle. I damn sure bet it is $16,000. Like, you're not doing a movie every year. You ain't doing 2 or 3 movies a year. Where are you getting the money from? I ain't saying she's selling nothing. I don't know. I ain't in her business. Okay. So I do believe she tricking. I do believe she tricking somewhere. That's just my personal opinion. Come on, man. Listen, we gotta be
Okay.
honest.
Well, I'm gonna ask you this because my interpretation of her saying it was a struggle. It was not that it's a struggle in paying the money, like as in a financial struggle. It was more a struggle of I gotta pay this amount of money to this person. That was my interpretation of reading the whole article and her saying that it was a struggle. It wasn't more like, oh, it's a financial struggle, like I'm struggling to pay this amount of money. It was more like I'm struggling with the concept that I have to pay this much money in child support to this person.
Okay, well, and that might be it too. I don't listen. I'm a man. I
Right.
don't like the fact that, for instance, I pay child support because honestly, you getting less what I was spending. Now you can't ask me for no money by law. No, I'm not finna help you pay daycare. No, I'm finna not because I don't have to. I'm not obligated to. So you're really finna get less than what I would actually spend. But again, in Halle Berry's case, again, welcome to the party. She just have to pay 16,000. We had Chris Bosh. If you know Chris Bosh's story, he wasn't even pay, and he's a basketball player who played years in the league. He paid
Exactly.
next to nothing for child support. Halle Berry need to be getting with Chris Bosh to say, hey, who was your attorney? Because
Okay.
again, 16,000 is way too much for a child. You literally are paying for y'all house, y'all place to live,
Very
y'all
true.
clothes on your back. You know what I can do manage with 16,000? Hell no, I'm not working.
Exactly. I don't need to.
16,000, I mean, just do the math. 16 times 12. Hell, that's a salary. That's an executive salary.
Yes, it
So
is.
I agree with her that 16,000 is too much. And I say, like, I question why wouldn't you not even go back? Because it's based off what you make. If you're not making a yearly salary to pay 16,000 a month, it can be adjusted. I want to know who's in her circle, who's helping her, because she could save money. Listen, I'm in a place where I can't pay 16,000. I could do that 5 years ago. You get what I'm saying? Anybody that's watching, I want you, if you experiencing this, if you're male or woman, what is set in stone for you to pay in child support is not concrete. If my work situation changes, I make less than what I normally make. Guess what? I would have to shoot some money out to my attorney. My attorney is going to go before the court and argue and say, listen, look, this is where my client is right now. What he make right now cannot support what he's paying monthly. And the court by law have to respect what I'm making in terms in lower. I've had my child support lower before. Why? Because I was actually overpaying. Now, I've never complained one way or other about paying my child support because in the end, I end up winning. For you guys that are who are friends of mine on social media, just 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, I posted my letter
You're right.
stating from the Attorney General to my job, and my job to me, that clearly says that you have met your financial obligation and you're no longer required, that the job is no longer required to deduct child support from me. Listen, I was ecstatic, behind that because I did what I need to do. And matter of fact, I finished paying it earlier. Hell, I was paying them more than what I should. So I actually stopped paying child support close to a year ahead. And so I just didn't look at it. Again, it comes out your check, whatever. I just said in my mind that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, my children can always call me for whatever. Now, my kid's mother, they already know. That's a hell no. Don't ask me for shit. Don't ask me, can you buy a coat?
I
Especially if you
can't with you.
Especially if you got a whole husband. If you got a whole nigga you with, don't ask me. Cause I'm already giving you a check weekly. Don't ask me. Now my son hit me up, say, hey dad, can you throw a nigga a couple of dollars, give me some change? Sure. Okay, I got you. That's fine. But as far as asking, no. And so again, I do understand. I feel Halle Berry's pain. I understand her frustration because 16,000 is a lot of money. That is a lot of money to be paying. That is not chump change. You have to be a total beast to pay $16,000 a month. That is a lot of money. We don't know Halle Berry's financial state, but what we do know is if she paying it, I salute that sister. Again, do I think you kind of tricking a little bit to do it? I do. What last movie has Halle Berry done? Um, be, being a actor or actress is contract work. That's not a that's not a job where you guarantee work. Every 3 to 6 months you're guaranteed to do a movie. You're not. And so I got to keep it 100. I'm not saying it to be negative. I'm just saying I just think you got a little help paying it. She might have a little trick on the side. Who doing it? We don't know. We don't. And so again, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But she goes on to say this before we end it. She says, Berry followers were taken by her words and showered her with support plus praised her for opening up, saying that again for the people in the front, back, and middle, said one user. Another wrote, everybody are different in Halle Berry. You don't owe anyone an explanation of why you are single. Most of us are by choice. You are a queen. And so, people showered her with love. But what I want people to understand before we get out of here, shower men with that same type of love who are just regular brothers who are also in a place where they have to pay child support. Shower that same love. Commend men who do it because they could have well not need to be on child support and will probably love supporting their child. But again, like Diamond said, you got women and more so women. I'm not even going to say men. More so women becoming vindictive. They don't care about the fact that you're going to help. They want that guaranteed money. Hello? I don't have to ask you, hey, the child need XYZ. Because I know you work, I'm going to be guaranteed to get whatever it is that the court said that you're going to pay. And yes, there need to be some work on it. I do believe that right now, because more men are on child support than women because most women have their own children. I do believe that some of the laws and the way everything is set up, that it becomes unfair to that man and women. It becomes fair in Halle Berry's case. I understand her fully. Again, you don't have to send in an account for where that money going. You don't have to, for instance, if I'm giving you $400 or $500 a month, there's no system to where I can see that you actually spent $400 or $500. It could be $300. Show me where account for that $300. It should be some type of system to where, okay, I bought this child, an outfit here. I bought, clothes here. I did this here. There's nothing. There's no consequences. But we pay dearly for people who pay child support if we don't pay it. And again, change the system with any attorney general office across the country. If you can take me to court for being behind, and it take an enormous amount of money to be behind and be taken to court, I should be able to reach out to that same system if my kid mother deny me possession. That same system, if at the very minimum, should be able to help a father who's having problems with seeing their child, because we know how it goes. You got bitter women. My older kid's mother was one of them. She played all type of games, and I could talk about this shit and I could talk shit about her because I ain't on no type of court papers with her. So I can talk my shit now because I'm not governed by any laws to talk my shit about this broad. But she was one of them who played games with my children. I believe at the age of 12. My daughter is 17 now. So in other words, what I'm saying is I was denied possession for my children when my son is 2 years, 2.5 years older than my daughter. So I'm gonna say 12, and so that means she was probably 10. I was not getting possession of my child the way, or my children, according to the court order. I still paid child support though, because it's very clear in that court order that one has nothing to do with the other. You cannot withhold child support because you're not getting your possession, and you can't hold the child from his father that possession because you're not getting child support. What I did was just roll the shit out and said, you know what? I'll see my children when I see them. I'll pay my child support. And matter of fact, what the broad didn't know was that she was getting more than what the fuck I was supposed to pay. So if I missed a month or missed a week and I got a call, because the broad would call me every blue moon, I didn't receive money. Okay. Well, you might want to call the AG. No, I don't. I'm actually ahead. Get off my phone. Click. So if I missed a week, well, guess what? It didn't matter because hell, I'm actually giving you more money than what you're supposed to get. Again, I ended my child support actually 8 months early. Like I said, damn near a year ahead of what it's supposed to be. And so again, there are flaws in the system. I do understand Halle Berry frustrations. I would hope that she would go back and revisit that. For you guys that don't know, her daughter is 12 now.
Right.
She's 12. This shit is not set in stone. If, for instance, like I said, my financial situation changed, I could turn around and hit my turn up and say, hey, I ain't getting that overtime no more. I'm down to 40 hours a week. Okay, I can't pay this child support I'm paying now. Well, she gonna say, well, you know what you need to do? Shoot me a couple of dollars, and we'll go back before the court again. We'll show that your financial situation has changed, and we'll get it addressed. And so again, man, you know, Halle Berry, I salute her. I understand her frustration. Just because she's paying $16,000, like
Yeah, that's $192,000 a year.
I would probably be pimping some women. I would probably start an OnlyFans.
That's a lot of money. $192,000 a year.
I would have a job. I would create an OnlyFans page. I would probably recruit 2 broads because we don't make this money. And for $16,000, we're going to make some money for me to pay my child support. I'm go do find some ways to make sure it's done. I'm not gonna trick off my body. I'm gonna turn it into a financial situation. Okay, it's struggling bros out there who want to make money. I got a proposition for you. Let's create this OnlyFans. I got cameras. You know what I'm saying? Let's work out something where we both can get paid, so I can get this child support taken care of. I'm just, I'm being funny, but I'm just saying you just gotta find ways.
Yeah.
But I'm being serious to anybody who got any inquiries on creating the OnlyFans page. I got you. But listen, with that being said, man, you know what? We're going to end this show. We didn't have a lot to talk about today. A lot of us here in Dallas, Texas are still recovering from the winter storm that we face. People are still having to take care of repairs.
COVID-19.
COVID-19 is still in effect. Please protect yourself at all times. Double up on your mask. Again, go to our Facebook page, like us on Facebook. I really need you guys who are watching. Please go to our YouTube channel, The Petty Crew. Subscribe to that as well. I'm trying to get those numbers up the same as Facebook. I think right now I'm at 6,000 some followers on Facebook. 5,000 some likes I really want you guys to really support that YouTube page because you can watch all of our um, shows on YouTube as well. Again, we will be going live on YouTube later on tonight, and but I really want you guys to get their YouTube channel popping. With that being said, thanks to everybody. I see a Miss Bates. Shout out to you for checking in. I see you in the comments. Stacy Breckenridge, Arthur Stacy Breckenridge. Hey, sweetie. I see you were tuned in as well. Thanks to everybody who shared today's show. Diamond, please let everybody know where they can find you.
Hey, it's your girl Diamond. You can find me on Facebook at Yolanda Diamond Jones or my company where I make custom t-shirts, cups, and jewelry at YOLO Expressions on both Instagram and Facebook. And again, it's your girl Diamond. You can find me at Yolanda Diamond Jones or YOLO Expressions on both Facebook and Instagram.
Already, again, thank everybody for tuning in. Um, we'll be planning for this week for another great show. Next week, again, we are live on Facebook and Twitter from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please make sure you can support us. I know you guys see that Cash App that is floating across that screen. Listen, this software costs. It costs to promote shows. It costs to pay for these little backgrounds that we see. They are not free as well. And so if you like what I'm doing, if you want to support me financially, man, listen, $5 will go a long way. Um, um, Whatever is on your heart to bless this show with, I really appreciate it because it will go back to the show. It's going to go back to something. The summer's coming up. 2 years ago, I created a pay it forward event where I go to Brahms and I pay it forward to 100 customers by giving them free ice cream. And so somebody did that for me and my wife. Um, a year ago, we were out getting ice cream, and they paid it forward. They paid for us our ice cream and everything. And I was like, you know what? We should then in return pay it back forward to the same place where somebody paid it forward to us. And so sometime in June, I will be announcing and have flyers up. And so if you want to give to that to help pay for people free ice cream, if you would like to pay it forward, you can give whatever you would like to. Again, the Cash App is $ Hayes Who, HAYESWHO. There's no amount too small. And if you want to help again, pay for that event that will be coming up. If you're in the Dallas area, you can come out and get free ice cream. And so,
And I'm gonna come and join you.
hey, you know what?
We're gonna set a date and I'm gonna come to Dallas and join you and we're gonna do it together.
Yeah, that's cool. I will definitely be letting you know. I just got to go back to the flyer. This past year we didn't do it because remember we were up under strict, we was under lockdown. We wasn't able to move kind of how we could, so I didn't do it last year. But with everything, with the vaccine and the mask, and now that businesses are open, I do plan on paying it forward again, getting that back going. And so I look forward to you guys coming out to show us some love and come out and eat some free ice cream with us. Again, thank you guys so much. We love you. We appreciate your support. And until next Sunday, we are out of here.